What's up, everybody? It's Jairo from the Grind Fitness Training Systems. Today we have a brand new topic. Today is going to be striking mechanics for combat athletes. So elite strikers, guys that are very good at basically punching and kicking, they don't try to punch harder. What they learn over time is they learn the balance between relaxation and stiffness to relaxation. So what does that mean? Stiffness to relaxation and relaxation to stiffness. What that basically means is two things. So the stiffness aspect is coming from the lower body. You're basically learning how to transfer force from your foot to your core, from your core to your hips, and then creates fluidity on the upper body. So think of it as like a slingshot. You're basically generating power from the ground to the foot, to the hips, through the core, and creating elasticity in the upper body in order for you to swing either a jab, a hook, uppercut, whatever it is. You're learning that balance of that kinetic chain. Now, the lower body is stiff, the upper body is relaxed efficiency in order for you to deliver the strike. So what that basically means is, I think of like the old Bruce Lee kind of videos, the 1-inch punch type of idea, is learning to be in a relaxed state until the very last second before you strike your opponent, before you stiffen up. That's the balance of creating the stiffness from the ground, through the legs, into the core, generating more power to the hip, creating an elasticity of the upper back in order for you to generate power with the strike. So right now, I would say the best example of that is somebody like Topuria. Topuria right now, when that man strikes, he strikes in a lower position. He's never off balance, and he recoils his power. It's one of the reasons why, outside of him having like a natural gift of power, it's also efficiency, because he trains it in the gym. He trains how to be efficient with his movement on top of his natural ability of being able to like strike with power. Okay, so the goal here when it comes to this type of training or concept is learning how to relax, explode, and going back to relaxing. Okay, because that's extremely important, because you need to learn, in order for you to be able to get good at this, you have to learn this kinetic chain efficiency. Meaning, when you're training, you got to learn how to have stiff feet, stiff core, powerful hips, relaxed spine, relaxed arm, until the stiffness is required when you actually strike the person. So that's the balance, or the work that you need to do in the gym, is practicing, again, I'm going to say it one more time, stiffness of the foot, which are things like ankle training, jumps, single leg jumps with one foot, things like that, where you're creating elasticity and stiffness of the Achilles tendon, the calf musculature, in order for you to be able to work on core, which is stiffness. Things like planks, anti-rotation, anti-lateral movement, power of the hips, hip thrust, rotational hip movement, ball throws, where you're practicing that hip power, into relaxation, which is of the spine, thoracic spine movement, opening up thoracic movement, rotational spine stretching. And then the same thing with the arms, is learning how to relax the arm from extension to shoulder flexion, shoulder extension, learning that mobility in order for you to be able to generate maximal power output. Because the more stiff you are here, the more relaxed you are here, the harder you're going to hit your opponent. Which, I don't know about you, the more I can generate power and knock out power, the better. Some of us are gifted with that type of power, but most of us are not. Only a small percentage of people are gifted with. Best person I could think of was Dan Henderson back in the day in MMA. That guy, he was a good wrestler, but he had an atomic bomb in his right hand. So sometimes he'd be losing a fight, and he was able to generate so much power out of that right hand that you never knew whether he was going to win or not, because all he had to do was hit you once and it was game over. So some concepts with here. I'm going to review some, because I already said some examples here. So ground stiffness concept, you would do, like, let's say pogo jumps with snap downs. Okay, learning stiffness of the lower body, learning relaxed motion in a practical setting when it comes to wrestling. Thoracic rotation and fluidity would be like T-spine openers, which is over the foam roller combined with banded rotation. So you're doing banded movement over and over and over again. So you're creating stiffness of the lower body and elasticity of the upper body. Now, when you're doing this and adding this into your program, your strength and conditioning programs, you want to do 2 times a week where you're working on the stiffness, which are things like plyos, deceleration drills. And then you want to do 2 times a week of mobility and training. Okay? So this type of work is you're creating stiffness, but at the same time, you're also helping recovery. Because a lot of the actual striking, you're going to create a lot of stiffness in the upper body. Stiffness in the lower body is good, but stiffness in the upper body, not so good. So the combination of the two is what's going to maximize your power output when you actually hit somebody. So working on the stiffness of your lower body and working on the mobility and rotation of the upper body is going to translate over into increased power output when you actually hit somebody. Okay? So again, the kinetic chain efficiency that you want to work on is from foot to core to hips to spine to arm. Okay? All that combined with this type of training is going to maximize the amount of power output when you actually hit somebody. Okay, and one of the things you can do for recovery, just some examples you can add: foam rolling, you can foam roll the calf, you can foam roll the thoracic spine. And then on top of that, in combination with the foam rolling, you want to do nasal breathing for your CNS. Breathing is really, really important. Almost every video that I talk about, I usually end up adding in a little bit of recovery for breathing. So if you can add breathing into your regimen, not only does it help your the musculature for your actual breathing, but it also kind of calms the CNS down, which is also a good thing. I think of it as like sometimes if I do good on open mat, because right now I'm into grappling, you do a lot of trainings back to back to back to back. It takes a while for my body to calm down because it was just overused. You're in an excited state, so your CNS is in overdrive. So adding in a little bit of nasal breathing, a little bit of diaphragmatic breathing will tell your nervous system like, yo, relax. You got to go back to zero. Okay? All right, guys. Covered pretty much everything. Appreciate you listening. Again, you have any questions, DM me, comment down below. You'll see a little link down below, some free stuff that I have to offer. It's a 7-day journal, reset journal. So let me know. See you in the next video.